Listen to me. Right now, in this moment, as you hear these words, I need you to understand something. You are not the person you think you are. You are not the thoughts racing through your mind at 3 a.m. You are not the anxiety that grips your chest when you think about tomorrow. You are not the anger that erupts when someone disrespects you. You are not the sadness that pulls you under when life doesn't go according to plan. You are something far greater, far more powerful, but you have forgotten. We all have. We've been asleep, walking through life as if we're passengers in our own story, reacting to every trigger, every emotion, every external circumstance, as if we have no choice. But here's the truth that will either wake you up or leave you in the same prison you're in right now. You are the master of your mind, or you are its slave. There is no middle ground. There is no negotiation. Every single day, every single moment, you are choosing which one you will be. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the ancient world, the emperor of Rome who commanded armies and controlled empires, understood this better than almost anyone who has ever lived. And he wrote these words not in some grand public declaration, but in his private journal, reminding himself of what really mattered. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Think about that. The man who had power over the known world knew that real power had nothing to do with external control. Real power was internal. Real power was the ability to control his own thoughts, his own reactions, his own internal state regardless of what chaos surrounded him. And if he needed to remind himself of this daily, what makes you think you don't? Look around you. Look at the world we live in. People are drowning in distraction, scrolling endlessly through feeds that make them feel inadequate, chasing pleasures that leave them empty, running from pain that would actually make them stronger. We live in the most comfortable era in human history, and yet we are more anxious, more depressed, more lost than ever before. Why? Because comfort is not strength. Because ease is not growth. Because when you have everything designed to make you feel good, you forget how to make yourself be good. You forget that your mind, left undisciplined, will destroy you. It will create problems that don't exist. It will amplify fears that aren't real. It will keep you trapped in patterns that slowly suffocate your potential until you wake up one day, years from now, wondering where your life went. But you feel it, don't you? That whisper inside that says there's more. That resistance you feel when you know you should do something but you don't. That voice that tells you you're capable of more than you're showing. That's not weakness. That's the part of you that knows the truth. That's the warrior inside who refuses to die. No matter how much you've tried to numb it, distract it, or silence it. And if you're still here, if you're still listening, that means something. That means the fire isn't out. It's just buried. And today, we're going to fan those flames. So let me be clear about something right now. This message is not for everyone. This is not for the person who wants a quick fix, a magic pill, or someone to tell them that everything will be okay if they just think positive thoughts. This is not for the person looking for comfort or validation. This is for you if you're tired of being controlled by your emotions. This is for you if you're sick of starting over every Monday. This is for you if you know deep in your soul that you were built for something more than mediocrity. This is for the person who is ready to stop being a victim of their own mind and start being the master of their fate. If that's you, if that fire still burns inside you, then keep listening, because in this video, I'm going to share with you the Stoic laws of mental mastery, the ancient principles that have transformed warriors, emperors, and everyday people for over 2,000 years. These aren't theories. These are battle-tested truths. And if you apply them, if you truly commit to them, your life will never be the same. Number 1, you are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. This is the first and most important truth you must understand. Right now, as I speak, thoughts are arising in your mind. Some of them you invited. Most of them you didn't. They just appear like clouds drifting across the sky. And what do most people do? They identify with every single one. They believe that every thought that pops into their head is real, is important, is them. Someone cuts them off in traffic, and a thought arises. That person disrespected me. I'm angry. And immediately they become that anger. They let it consume them. They carry it with them for hours, ruining their day, their mood, their peace. But here's what the Stoics understood. Thoughts are just thoughts. They are not commands. They are not facts. They are not you. Epictetus, who was born a slave and became one of the greatest philosophers in history, taught this fundamental principle. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Notice, he didn't say how you feel about it. He said how you react. Because feelings will arise, thoughts will arise. That's part of being human. But you get to choose what you do with them. You get to choose whether you give them power or let them pass. Think about your mind like a nightclub, and you're the bouncer at the door. Not every thought that shows up gets to come in. Not every emotion that knocks gets to stay. You decide. You have that power. But you've given it away. You've let every random thought, every anxious worry, every angry impulse walk right in and take over. And then you wonder why you feel out of control. Let me give you a modern example. You wake up in the morning, and before your feet even hit the floor, you grab your phone. You scroll through social media, and within minutes, your mind is filled with other people's lives, other people's success, other people's opinions. Thoughts start flooding in. I'm behind. I'm not doing enough. I'm not where I should be. I'm a failure. And just like that, before you've even started your day, you've already lost control of your mind. You've let external circumstances dictate your internal state. The Stoic does the opposite. The Stoic understands that the morning is sacred. The first hour of your day determines the quality of your entire day. So they protect it. They start with silence. They start with reflection. They start by reminding themselves of what they can control and what they cannot. They observe their thoughts without judgment, without identification, and they choose which ones to act on. Here's what I want you to understand. Every time you react automatically to a thought or an emotion, you are reinforcing a pattern. You are training yourself to be a slave. But every time you pause, every time you observe, every time you choose your response, you are building the muscle of self-mastery. It's not easy at first. Your mind will fight you. It will tell you that you need to react, that you need to respond, that this thought is so important you can't let it go. But that's the test. That's where your power lives. In that gap between stimulus and response, in that space where you remember who you really are. Not the thought, but the thinker. Not the emotion, but the one experiencing it. Not the slave, but the master. So here's your first challenge, your first practice. For the next 24 hours, every time a strong emotion arises, every time a negative thought appears, I want you to pause and say to yourself, I notice I'm having the thought that, or I notice I'm feeling. That simple shift in language creates distance. It creates space. It reminds you that you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind them. And in that awareness, you find freedom. Comment below right now. I am not my thoughts. I am the master of my mind. Write it down, declare it, make it real. Number 2, discipline equals freedom. This is the paradox that most people never understand. They think freedom means doing whatever you want whenever you want. They think freedom is sleeping in, eating junk food, binge-watching shows, scrolling endlessly, avoiding anything hard or uncomfortable. They think freedom is the absence of rules. But that's not freedom. That's slavery. That's being controlled by every impulse, every craving, every moment of weakness. Real freedom comes from discipline. Real freedom comes from having control over yourself. Seneca said it perfectly. No man is free who is not master of himself. Think about what that means. If you cannot control your urges, your habits, your reactions, then who is in control? Not you. Your appetites are, your emotions are. Your environment is. You are being lived by life instead of living it. Look at your life right now with brutal honesty. How many times have you said you were going to do something and didn't do it? How many times have you set a goal and quit when it got hard? How many times have you promised yourself you'd change and then went right back to the same patterns? Every time you do that, you're not just failing at a task. You are breaking a promise to yourself. You are teaching yourself that your word means nothing. You are weakening the very foundation of your character. And over time, that adds up. Over time, you stop believing in yourself because you have proof that you can't be trusted. But here's the beautiful and terrible truth. It doesn't have to be that way. You can change this right now, today, with a single decision followed by consistent action. The Stoics practiced what they called voluntary discomfort. They would intentionally choose hardship, not because they enjoyed suffering, but because they understood that comfort makes you weak and struggle makes you strong. Marcus Aurelius would sleep on the floor sometimes, even though he had the finest beds in the world. He would fast even though he had access to the best food. Why? Because he understood that the mind needs training just like the body. He understood that if you only do what feels good, you become a slave to feeling good. But if you can do what's hard, what's necessary, what's right even when you don't feel like it, you become unstoppable. You become someone who cannot be controlled by circumstances. You become free. Think about your morning routine. Do you hit snooze? Do you check your phone immediately? Do you stumble through the first hours in a fog, reactive and scattered? Or do you attack the day with intention? The Stoic wakes up early, not because they have to, but because they choose to. They understand that how you do anything is how you do everything. If you cannot control yourself in the morning, the easiest time to exercise discipline when your willpower is highest. How will you control yourself when life gets hard? If you cannot make your bed, how will you build a business? If you cannot control what you eat, how will you control what you say when you're angry? Discipline is not about one big action. It's about 1,000 small ones. It's about winning the micro battles that no one sees. It's about keeping promises to yourself when no one is watching. And here's what happens when you do. you start to trust yourself again. You start to believe in your own word. You start to see that you are capable of far more than you thought. That confidence, that self-trust, that's real freedom. That's power. Because when you know you can rely on yourself, when you know you'll do what you say, regardless of how you feel, you stop being afraid. You stop making excuses. You stop waiting for motivation. You just do what needs to be done every single day. No negotiation, no drama. Just discipline, just action, just results. So here's your second practice. Pick one thing, just one, that you know you should be doing, but you're not. Maybe it's waking up earlier. Maybe it's working out. Maybe it's reading instead of scrolling. Maybe it's sitting in silence for 10 minutes. Whatever it is, commit to it for the next 7 days. No excuses, no exceptions. Not because it will change your life in 7 days, but because it will change you. It will prove to yourself that you have control. And that proof is everything. Comment below, "Discipline is my freedom. I do what I say." Make that declaration and then live it. Number 3, the obstacle is the way. This might be the most powerful Stoic principle you'll ever learn, and it's the one most people completely miss. We spend our entire lives trying to avoid problems. We want the path to be easy. We want success without struggle. We want results without resistance. And when obstacles appear, when challenges arise, when things don't go according to plan, we complain. We get frustrated. We quit. We say, "This isn't fair. This shouldn't be happening. Why me?" But Marcus Aurelius understood something that changes everything. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Read that again. The thing blocking you is actually the path forward. The obstacle isn't in your way. The obstacle is the way. Think about what that means for your life right now. Whatever challenge you're facing, whatever problem seems insurmountable, whatever fear is holding you back, that's not your enemy. That's your teacher. That's your opportunity. That's the exact thing you need to grow into the person you're meant to become. But we don't see it that way. We see obstacles as punishments, as bad luck, as reasons to give up. The Stoic sees obstacles as training. Every difficulty is a chance to practice virtue. Every hardship is a chance to build character. Every setback is a chance to develop resilience. You don't get strong by doing easy things. You get strong by doing hard things. The obstacle is the gym for your soul. Let me give you a real example. You want to start a business, but you don't have money. Most people stop right there. They say, "I can't do it. I don't have resources." The Stoic says, "Good. This obstacle will force me to be creative. It will force me to work harder. It will force me to build something lean and efficient from the start. You want to get in shape, but you don't have time." Most people use that as an excuse. The Stoic says, "This constraint will teach me discipline. It will force me to prioritize. It will make every workout count." You want to improve a relationship, but the other person is difficult. Most people blame the other person. The Stoic says, "This difficulty will teach me patience. It will teach me communication. It will teach me to control my reactions." Do you see the pattern? The obstacle is always the teacher. The question is whether you're willing to be the student. But here's the hard part. You cannot see the obstacle as the way if you're in a victim mindset. If you believe life is happening to you, you'll always be powerless. You'll always be at the mercy of circumstances. But if you shift your perspective, If you understand that life is happening for you, everything changes. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity. Every challenge becomes a chance. Every failure becomes feedback. The Stoics called this amor fati, the love of fate. Not just accepting what happens, but loving it, embracing it, seeing it as exactly what you need. Because here's the truth. You don't get to choose what happens to you. You never did. But you always get to choose what you make it mean and what you do about it. So right now, I want you to think about the biggest obstacle in your life. The thing you've been avoiding, complaining about, or using as an excuse. And I want you to ask yourself a different question. What if this obstacle is exactly what I need right now? What if this is the universe's way of forcing me to grow? What if the only way to become who I'm meant to be is to go through this? When you shift the question, you shift your power. You stop being a victim and become a warrior. You stop waiting for things to get easier and start getting stronger. You stop asking why this is happening to you and start asking what you're going to do about it. That's the Stoic way. That's the path of power. Here's your third practice. Write down your current biggest obstacle. Then write 3 ways this obstacle is actually serving you. 3 lessons it's teaching you. 3 strengths it's building in you. This exercise will rewire your brain. It will train you to see challenges differently. And over time, you'll stop fearing obstacles and start seeking them out because you'll know that's where growth lives. Comment below, the obstacle is my way. I embrace resistance. This is your warrior declaration. Number 4, control the controllable. Release the rest. This is where most people waste their entire lives. They spend their energy worrying about things they cannot change. They stress about other people's opinions. They obsess over outcomes they cannot guarantee. They replay past events they cannot undo. They anxiety spiral about future scenarios that haven't happened and probably never will. And in doing so, they completely neglect the one thing they actually have control over: themselves, their thoughts, their actions, their responses, their effort, their character. Epictetus, in the very first lesson of his teachings, made this crystal clear. Some things are within our control, and some things are not. It is only after you have faced up to this fundamental rule and learned to distinguish between what you can and cannot control that inner tranquility and outer effectiveness become possible. Let me break this down in a way that will change how you operate. There are 3 categories in life. First, things completely outside your control. The past, other people's thoughts and actions, natural events, the economy, politics, how you were raised, your genetics. Second, things partially in your control. Outcomes, results, success, other people's reactions to you, your reputation. You can influence these, but you cannot control them. Third, things completely in your control. Your thoughts, your effort, your integrity, your response to events, how you spend your time, how you treat people, whether you keep your word. Now, here's what's insane. Most people spend 90% of their mental energy on categories 1 and 2, and almost none on category 3. They worry about what already happened. They stress about what people think. They obsess over results they cannot guarantee. And then they wonder why they feel powerless, why they feel anxious, why nothing seems to change. The Stoic does the exact opposite. The Stoic focuses all their energy on what they can control: their effort, their attitude, their integrity, their preparation. They do everything within their power and then they detach from the outcome. They understand that they can control their training, but not the victory. They can control their work, but not the recognition. They can control their character, but not other people's judgment. And in that understanding, they find peace. Because when you stop trying to control what you cannot control, you stop suffering. When you focus only on what you can control, you become powerful. You stop being a victim. You stop making excuses. You stop waiting for perfect conditions. You just do what's in your power, and you let the rest unfold as it will. Think about how this applies to your daily life. You send a message and someone doesn't respond. You can't control their response, but you can control whether you let it ruin your day. You work hard on a project, and it doesn't get the recognition you hoped for. You can't control other people's appreciation, but you can control whether you keep improving your craft. You try to help someone, and they reject your advice. You can't control their choices, but you can control whether you offered value with good intentions. In each case, you did your part. You controlled what was yours to control. Everything else is outside your domain. Let it go, release it. Don't carry what isn't yours to carry. But here's where it gets even deeper. When you truly internalize this principle, you stop being attached to specific outcomes. You start focusing on process over results. You start measuring yourself by your effort, not your achievements. You start finding fulfillment in the doing, not just the done. Because here's the truth. You might work hard and still fail. You might be kind and still get hurt. You might do everything right and still not get what you want. But if you focus on what you can control, you can never truly fail. Because success isn't about outcomes. Success is about becoming the kind of person who does what's right regardless of the outcome. That's integrity. That's character. That's stoicism. And when you live this way, something beautiful happens. You become unshakable. People can criticize you, but it doesn't break you because you know you did your best. Things can fall apart, but you don't fall apart because you focused on your effort, not the result. Life can be unfair, but you don't become bitter because you understand that your power was never in controlling circumstances. It was in controlling yourself. That's freedom. That's peace. That's power. Here's your fourth practice. At the end of each day, review your day through this lens. Ask yourself, what did I worry about today that was outside my control? What energy did I waste on things I cannot change? What can I let go of right now? And then ask, what was in my control today? Did I give my best effort? Did I act with integrity? Did I show up as the person I want to be? This simple review will rewire your focus. It will train you to pour your energy into what matters and release what doesn't. Comment below, I control what's mine. I release the rest. This is your practice of power. Number 5. Silence is strength. We live in a world that never stops talking. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone wants to be heard. Everyone is shouting into the void, desperate for validation, for attention, for proof that they matter. And in all that noise, people have forgotten the power of silence. They've forgotten that sometimes the strongest response is no response. That sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. That sometimes your silence speaks louder than any words ever could. The Stoics understood this deeply. They understood that the person who cannot be quiet is the person who cannot be still. And the person who cannot be still is the person who cannot think. And the person who cannot think is the person who cannot lead themselves. Silence is not weakness. Silence is mastery. Think about how much you talk in a day. Now think about how much of it actually matters. How much of it is reactive? How much of it is defensive? How much of it is seeking approval or validation? How much of it is filling space because you're uncomfortable with quiet? The Stoic practices silence, not because they have nothing to say, but because they have learned that most words are wasted. Most conversations are empty. Most arguments are pointless. They have learned to speak only when their words improve upon the silence. They have learned that listening is more powerful than speaking. They have learned that observation reveals more than participation. They have learned that the person who talks the most often knows the least. Seneca wrote, "Silence is a lesson learned through life's many sufferings." Think about what that means. The more you experience, the more you suffer, the more you grow, the less you need to say. Because you understand that talk is cheap. You understand that action speaks louder. You understand that people reveal themselves through their behavior, not their words. You understand that arguing with fools makes you a fool. You understand that explaining yourself to those who don't want to understand is a waste of your breath. So you become selective. You become intentional. You become quiet. Let me give you some modern examples of how silence gives you power. Someone insults you, and instead of reacting, you stay silent. You let them expose themselves. You let their words fall flat. You show them that they have no power over you. That silence is more devastating than any comeback. Someone criticizes your work, and instead of defending yourself, you stay silent. You let your work speak. You let your results answer. You let time prove them wrong. That silence is more powerful than any argument. Someone gossips about you, and instead of engaging, you stay silent. You don't explain. You don't justify. You don't give them your energy. You let your character speak for itself. That silence protects your peace. But silence isn't just about external communication. It's about internal stillness. It's about creating space in your mind where you can actually hear yourself think. Most people are so addicted to noise, to distraction, to constant stimulation that they never spend time in silence. They never sit with their thoughts. They never face themselves. They fill every moment with podcasts, music, videos, conversations, anything to avoid being alone with who they are. But that's where your power lives. In the silence, in the stillness, in the uncomfortable space where you meet yourself without filters, without distractions, without excuses. The Stoics would practice what they called contemplation. They would sit in silence and reflect on their day, their actions, their thoughts, their character. They would ask themselves hard questions. Did I live with integrity today? Did I control my reactions? Did I act with courage? Did I waste my time? This practice of silence allowed them to see themselves clearly. It allowed them to course correct. It allowed them to improve. Because you cannot change what you cannot see. And you cannot see what you're too busy to notice. So here's your fifth practice. Commit to 10 minutes of complete silence every single day. No phone, no music, no distractions, just you and your thoughts. At first, it will be uncomfortable. Your mind will race. You'll want to grab your phone. You'll want to do something, anything, to fill the space. But stay with it. Breathe. Observe your thoughts. Let them come and go. And in that practice, you'll start to reclaim your mind. You'll start to hear your intuition. You'll start to understand yourself. you'll start to find the clarity that's been buried under all the noise. And as you practice, extend it. Find moments throughout your day to be silent. Before you respond to that text, pause. Before you react to that comment, breathe. Before you fill the space with words, ask yourself if what you're about to say needs to be said. Let silence become your default, and let your words become rare and powerful. Comment below, "Silence is my strength. Stillness is my power." This is your declaration of inner mastery. Number 6, death is your compass. This is the ultimate Stoic practice, the one that separates those who dabble in philosophy from those who live it. Memento mori. Remember death. Remember that you will die. Remember that this life is temporary. Remember that every sunrise you see is one closer to your last. Remember that everyone you love will eventually be gone. Remember that all your achievements, all your possessions, all your status will mean nothing when you're lying on your deathbed taking your final breath. Now, most people hear this and think it's morbid. They think it's dark. They think it's depressing. But the Stoics understood that remembering death is the most powerful tool for living life. Because when you remember that your time is limited, you stop wasting it. When you remember that this could be your last day, you stop taking it for granted. When you remember that you will die, you start truly living. Marcus Aurelius would meditate on death daily. He would remind himself that he could die at any moment, that this reign could end today, that nothing is permanent. And far from making him depressed, it made him focused. It made him present. It made him appreciate every moment. It made him act with urgency and purpose, because he understood that death is not the enemy. Wasted life is. Spending your days in comfort and distraction and mediocrity, that's the real tragedy. Dying without ever truly living, that's what you should fear. Not death itself, but arriving at death with regret, with unfulfilled potential, with dreams never pursued, with words never spoken, with love never expressed. So let me ask you something right now. If you died tomorrow, would you be proud of how you lived today? Would you be satisfied with how you spent your time? Would you be at peace with the person you were? Or would you be filled with regret? Would you wish you'd taken more risks? Would you wish you'd said what needed to be said? Would you wish you'd stopped wasting time on things that didn't matter? Most people, if they're honest, would feel regret, because they're not living like death is real. They're living like they have forever. They're postponing the life they want to live for some imaginary future that might never come. The Stoics lived differently. They understood that we don't get to choose when we die, but we do get to choose how we live. They understood that every day is a gift, not a guarantee, so they lived with intention. They lived with presence. They lived with courage. They didn't wait for perfect conditions. They didn't procrastinate on what mattered. They didn't let fear of failure stop them from trying, because they knew that the greatest failure is not trying at all. The greatest waste is having time and not using it. The greatest tragedy is having a life and not living it. Think about the things you're putting off, the conversations you're avoiding, the dreams you're delaying, the changes you're postponing. Why are you waiting? What are you waiting for? The perfect moment, the right time, enough confidence, enough resources, enough support? Those things might never come. And even if they do, they won't matter if you waited so long that life passed you by. The time is now. The moment is this one. The opportunity is in front of you. Death doesn't wait for you to be ready. So why are you waiting to live? Here's what I want you to do. I want you to imagine your funeral. I know it's uncomfortable, but stay with me. Imagine the people you love gathering. Imagine them speaking about your life. What would you want them to say? What impact would you want to have had? What legacy would you want to leave? Now compare that to how you're actually living right now. Is there a gap? Of course there is. For all of us, there's a gap. But the question is, are you closing it? Are you living in a way that aligns with the person you want to be remembered as? Or are you living on autopilot, letting days blend into weeks, weeks into years, years into a life of, I'll do it tomorrow? Every morning, the Stoics would begin their day by acknowledging that this could be their last. Not to be morbid, but to be awake, to be alive, to be intentional. Because when you start your day remembering that it's finite, you stop wasting it. You stop scrolling for hours. You stop arguing about meaningless things. You stop holding grudges. You stop being petty. You stop taking people for granted. You start saying what needs to be said. You start doing what needs to be done. You start living like you mean it. Because you understand that this is it. This is your one life. And nobody is coming to save it for you. Here's your sixth practice, and it's the most powerful one yet. Every morning, before you do anything else, look in the mirror and say to yourself, I could die today. How will I live? And every night, before you sleep, review your day and ask, if that was my last day, would I be proud? This practice will transform you. It will wake you up. It will make you stop tolerating a life you don't love. It will make you act with urgency and purpose. It will make you brave. Because when you remember that your time is limited, fear becomes irrelevant. Comfort becomes boring. Mediocrity becomes unbearable. And you start living like the warrior you were always meant to be. Comment below, I remember death so I can truly live. This is your wake-up call. Number 7. Your reputation is not your character. This is the trap that destroys so many people, and they don't even realize it. They spend their entire lives managing their image, crafting their persona, worrying about what other people think. They make decisions based on how it will look, not on whether it's right. They stay in situations that aren't serving them because they're afraid of judgment. They don't pursue their dreams because they're afraid of criticism. They perform for an audience that doesn't even care, sacrificing their truth for applause that means nothing. And in doing so, they lose themselves. They become a hollow version of who they could have been, living someone else's life, dying for someone else's approval. The Stoics made a clear distinction. Your reputation is what other people think of you. Your character is who you actually are. And these two things are not the same. Your reputation is outside your control. It's shaped by perception, by gossip, by misunderstanding, by people who don't even know you. Your character is entirely within your control. It's shaped by your choices, your actions, your integrity when no one is watching. And here's the truth that will set you free. Your reputation will be criticized no matter what you do. If you're successful, people will say you're arrogant. If you're humble, they'll say you're weak. If you're kind, they'll say you're naive. If you're strong, they'll say you're cold. You cannot win the game of reputation because it's not your game to play. But your character, that's yours. That's your responsibility. That's your power. Marcus Aurelius wrote, I have often wondered how it is that every man loves himself more than all the rest of men, but yet sets less value on his own opinion of himself than on the opinion of others. Read that again. You love yourself more than anyone else, but you value their opinion more than your own. How does that make sense? It doesn't. It's madness. It's slavery. It's giving your power away to people who don't even know you, who aren't living your life, who won't be there when you're facing yourself in the mirror at night. Why do you care so much what they think? Why do you let their judgment control your choices? Why do you perform for people who don't pay your bills, who don't know your struggles, who wouldn't help you if you fell? Here's the truth. People are too busy worrying about themselves to spend much time thinking about you. And the ones who do spend time criticizing you, they're not living their own lives, so they try to live yours. They're not building their own dreams, so they tear down yours. They're not happy with themselves, so they project their misery onto you. And you're going to let those people dictate your choices? You're going to let their opinions stop you from being who you're meant to be? The Stoic says no. The Stoic says my character is what matters. My integrity is what matters. Whether I'm living in alignment with my values is what matters. And if people misunderstand me, if people criticize me, if people reject me, that's their right. But it's not my concern. Think about the decisions you've made based on other people's opinions, the career you chose because it sounded impressive, the relationship you stayed in because you didn't want people to think you failed, the dream you abandoned because someone said it was unrealistic, the version of yourself you hide because you're afraid of judgment. How much of your life have you sacrificed at the altar of other people's approval? How much of who you really are have you buried to please people who don't even matter? The Stoic refuses to live that way. The Stoic builds their life from the inside out, not the outside in. They decide what kind of person they want to be, and then they become that person regardless of the applause or the criticism. This doesn't mean you're arrogant or that you don't care about people. It means you're clear about whose opinion actually matters. It means you seek counsel from people you respect, but you don't let random people's judgments control you. It means you care more about being good than looking good. It means you make decisions based on what's right, not on what's comfortable or acceptable. It means you live with courage, even when it's unpopular. Because at the end of your life, the only opinion that will matter is your own. The only question that will matter is, did I live with integrity? Did I stay true to myself? Did I have the courage to be who I was meant to be? You won't care what your critics thought. You won't care about your reputation. You'll only care about your character. So why not start living that way now? Here's your 7th practice. Identify one area of your life where you're making decisions based on other people's opinions rather than your own values. Maybe it's your career. Maybe it's your relationships. Maybe it's how you present yourself online. Maybe it's the goals you're pursuing. Ask yourself, if no one was watching, if no one would ever know, what would I choose? That's your truth. That's your authentic path. Now, have the courage to choose it anyway, even though people are watching, even though they might judge. Choose character over reputation. Choose truth over approval. Choose yourself. Comment below, my character is my compass. My integrity is my strength. This is your declaration of authenticity. Number 8. Time is your most valuable resource. You can lose money and make it back. You can lose possessions and replace them. You can lose opportunities and create new ones. But time? Once it's gone forever. Every second that passes is a second you will never get back. Every hour you waste is an hour stolen from your potential. Every day you live without purpose is a day you die without meaning. And yet, people treat time like it's unlimited. They spend it carelessly. They waste it freely. They give it away to things and people that don't matter. And then they wonder why they feel empty, why they feel behind, why life seems to be passing them by. Seneca wrote one of the most powerful essays on this called On the Shortness of Life. In it, he says, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Life is long enough, and a sufficiently generous amount has been given to us for the highest achievements if it were all well invested. But when it is wasted in heedless luxury and spent on no good activity, we are forced at last by death's final constraint to realize that it has passed away before we knew it was passing." Think about that. Life isn't short. You're just wasting it. You have enough time to accomplish extraordinary things, to become an extraordinary person, to create an extraordinary life. But only if you stop treating time like it's infinite. Only if you stop giving it away to things that don't serve you. How much time did you waste today? How many hours did you scroll on social media, consuming content that added no value to your life? How many hours did you spend watching other people live instead of building your own life? How many hours did you give to complaining, to gossip, to meaningless conversations, to activities that numb you instead of grow you? Now add that up. Add it up over a week, over a month, over a year. You'll be horrified. You'll realize that you've been giving away years of your life to nothing, to less than nothing, to things that actively make you weaker, more distracted, more disconnected from who you're meant to be. The Stoic is ruthless with their time. They understand that time is the currency of life. It's how you buy your dreams. It's how you invest in your growth. It's how you build your legacy. So they protect it fiercely. They say no to things that don't align with their values. They cut out people who drain their energy. They eliminate activities that don't contribute to their goals. They are selective, intentional, and disciplined with every hour because they understand that how you spend your time is how you spend your life. And if you're spending your time on things that don't matter, you're spending your life on things that don't matter. But here's where most people get it wrong. They think being productive means being busy. They think filling every moment with activity is success. But the Stoics understood that it's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters. It's about focusing on what the Greeks called eudaimonia, which means human flourishing, living well, achieving your highest potential. It's not about checking off tasks. It's about making sure the tasks you're checking off are actually moving you toward the life you want to live. Because you can be busy and still be wasting your time. You can be productive and still be going in the wrong direction. The question isn't, am I doing a lot? The question is, am I doing what matters? So right now, I want you to do an honest audit of your time. Look at your last week. How did you actually spend it? Not how you wish you spent it or how you think you spent it, but how you actually spent it. Write it down, see it clearly, and then ask yourself, is this how someone spends their time when they're building the life they want? Is this how someone spends their time when they're serious about their goals? Is this how someone spends their time when they remember they're going to die? If the answer is no, you have work to do. You have changes to make. You have boundaries to set. You have priorities to clarify. Here's your 8th practice. At the beginning of each week, identify your top 3 priorities, the 3 things that, if you accomplish them, would make the week a success. Not 30 things. 3. Then, schedule time for them first. Protect that time like your life depends on it, because it does. Everything else, all the busy work, all the distractions, all the should-dos and have-tos, they get what's left over. But your priorities get your best time, your best energy, your best focus. This one practice will transform your life. It will force you to clarify what actually matters. It will force you to say no to what doesn't. And over time, you'll look back and realize you actually built something. You actually became someone. You actually lived instead of just existing. Comment below. Time is my currency. I invest it wisely. This is your commitment to intentional living. Number 9. Amor fati. Love your fate. This is perhaps the most advanced Stoic practice, and it's the one that creates unshakable peace. Most people spend their lives fighting reality. They wish things were different. They resent what happened. They resist what is. They create suffering by wanting life to be other than it is. But the Stoic does something radical. They love their fate. Not just accept it. Not just tolerate it. Love it. Embrace it. See it as exactly what needed to happen. See every experience, even the painful ones, as necessary for their growth. See every circumstance, even the difficult ones, as perfect for their development. This is amor fati, the love of fate. Nietzsche, who was deeply influenced by Stoicism, explained it this way. My formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. Not merely bear what is necessary, still less conceal it, but love it. That's the key. Not just bearing what happens, but loving it. Not just getting through hard times, but seeing them as exactly what you needed. Not just surviving challenges, but thanking them for making you stronger. This isn't toxic positivity. This isn't denying pain. This is understanding that everything you've been through has shaped you into who you are today. And who you are today is exactly who you need to become who you're meant to become. Think about your life. Think about the hardest thing you've ever been through. The loss, the failure, the betrayal, the struggle. In the moment, it felt like it would destroy you. You couldn't see any reason for it. You couldn't understand why it was happening. But now, looking back, can you see how it changed you? Can you see how it taught you something you needed to learn? Can you see how it revealed strength you didn't know you had? Can you see how it redirected you toward a better path? That's amor fati. That's understanding that everything serves, everything teaches, everything contributes, even when you can't see it in the moment. The Stoics believed that the universe is rational, that there's an order to things even when it feels chaotic. They believed that you are exactly where you need to be, learning exactly what you need to learn, becoming exactly who you need to become. Not because everything is predetermined, but because everything is opportunity. Every circumstance is a chance to practice virtue. Every challenge is a chance to grow. Every setback is a chance to build resilience. Nothing is wasted if you learn from it. Nothing is meaningless if you use it. Nothing is random if you trust the process. But here's where people struggle. They want to pick and choose. They want to love the good parts of their fate and resist the bad parts. They want to accept success but reject failure. They want to embrace pleasure but avoid pain. But that's not amor fati. That's conditional acceptance. That's still fighting reality. True amor fati means loving all of it, the victories and the defeats, the joy and the pain, the beginnings and the endings, because you understand that you need all of it. You need the contrast, you need the difficulty, you need the full range of human experience to become fully human. Let me give you a practical example. You get rejected for a job you really wanted. You can react in one of two ways. You can resist. This is unfair. They made the wrong choice. My life is ruined. I'll never get another opportunity like this. Or you can practice amor fati. This rejection is redirecting me. Maybe that job wasn't right for me. Maybe something better is coming. Maybe I need to develop more skills first. Maybe this is protecting me from something I can't see. I don't know the reason yet, but I trust there is one. Do you see the difference? One response creates suffering. The other creates peace. One makes you a victim. The other makes you a student. One closes you off. The other opens you up. This doesn't mean you don't feel the disappointment. You're human. You feel it. But you don't drown in it. You don't let it define you. You feel it and then you find the meaning in it. You ask, what is this teaching me? How is this serving me? Where is this leading me? And you trust that even if you can't see the answer now, it will reveal itself in time. Because it always does. Every person who's lived long enough can look back and see how the things they thought were disasters were actually divine interventions. How the doors that closed were protecting them from the wrong path. How the pain was preparing them for something greater. Here's your 9th practice. Think of something in your life right now that you're resisting. Something you wish was different. Maybe it's a circumstance. Maybe it's a limitation. Maybe it's a past event you can't let go of. Now, write down this statement. I accept this as part of my fate. I trust that it serves me. I choose to love it. Say it out loud. Feel the shift. You're not pretending it doesn't hurt or that it's easy. You're choosing to release the resistance. You're choosing to trust the process. You're choosing to love your fate, all of it, because you understand that it's all making you who you're meant to be. Comment below, I love my fate. Everything serves my growth. This is your declaration of total acceptance and trust. And now, as we come to the end, I want you to feel the weight of what we've covered. You are not your thoughts. You are the master of them. Discipline is your freedom. Structure is your liberation. The obstacle is the way. Resistance is your teacher. Control the controllable. Release the rest. Silence is your strength. Stillness is your power. Death is your compass. Mortality is your motivator. Character over reputation. Integrity over image. Time is your currency. Invest it in what matters. Love your fate. Embrace all of it. These aren't just ideas. These aren't just philosophies. These are tools for transformation. These are weapons against weakness. These are the principles that, if you truly live them, will make you unbreakable. But here's the final truth, the one that everything else has been building toward. Philosophy means nothing without practice. Reading about Stoicism doesn't make you a Stoic. Understanding these principles doesn't change you. Only living them does. Only practicing them daily does. Only choosing them in the moments when it's hard does. Marcus Aurelius didn't become who he was by studying philosophy. He became who he was by applying it every single day, in every decision, in every challenge, in every moment of weakness and strength. And that's what you must do now. You have a choice to make. You can close this video, feel inspired for a moment, and then go right back to the same patterns that have kept you stuck. Or you can decide that today is the day everything changes. That today is the day you stop being controlled by your mind and start controlling it. That today is the day you stop waiting for perfect conditions and start creating them with your discipline. That today is the day you stop avoiding obstacles and start embracing them. That today is the day you stop wasting your time and start investing it in who you're meant to become. The choice is yours. It's always been yours. But you have to make it, and you have to make it now. Because here's what I want you to remember. You don't have forever. None of us do. Every day you delay is a day you lose. Every moment you waste is a moment you'll never get back. And one day, sooner than you think, you'll run out of moments. You'll run out of chances. You'll run out of time. And the only question that will matter is, did I live? Did I truly live? Did I have the courage to become who I was meant to be? Or did I play it safe? Did I hide? Did I waste my potential on comfort and distraction and fear? You're going to die one day. We all are. But will you have lived? That's the question. That's the only question. The Stoics understood that life is not measured in years. It's measured in depth. It's measured in presence. It's measured in how fully you showed up, how courageously you acted, how authentically you lived. You can live 80 years and never truly be alive. Or you can live 40 years and live more fully than most people do in a lifetime. It's not about how long you live, it's about how well you live. And living well means living with intention, living with discipline, living with courage, living with integrity, living with purpose, living like every day matters, because it does. So here's my final challenge to you. Take everything you learned in this video and commit to practicing one principle every day for the next 30 days. Start with the one that resonated most deeply. Start with the one you need most right now. Wake up tomorrow morning and live it. Not perfectly. You won't be perfect. But intentionally, consciously, courageously. And when you fail, because you will, don't quit. Don't spiral. Don't give up. Just acknowledge it, learn from it, and start again. Because that's the Stoic way. It's not about being perfect. It's about being committed. It's about showing up every day and choosing to be better than you were yesterday. And as you walk this path, remember, you're not alone. For over 2,000 years, people have practiced these principles. Warriors, philosophers, leaders, everyday people just like you, who decided that they wanted more from life than what they were settling for, who decided that they were going to master their minds instead of being mastered by them, who decided that they were going to live with purpose instead of just existing, and they transformed their lives. They became unshakable. They became free. And you can too. You have everything you need. You always have. You just needed to remember. So go now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready. Now. Take the first step. Make the first choice. Practice the first principle. Control your mind, or it will control you. The war is within. The battle is daily. The victory is yours if you choose it. You are capable of far more than you know. You are stronger than you think. You are worthy of the life you dream of. But you have to claim it. You have to earn it. You have to fight for it. And that fight starts right now, in this moment, with the choice you make next. Comment below which Stoic principle you're committing to practice first. Share your declaration with this community. Let your commitment be public. Let your word be your bond. And then live it. Every single day. No excuses, no exceptions. Just practice. Just progress. Just power. Like this video, if these truths resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Subscribe to this channel and keep walking the Stoic path with us, because we're building something here. We're building a community of warriors who refuse to be controlled by their minds, who refuse to settle for mediocrity, who refuse to waste the gift of life on comfort and distraction. We're becoming who we were always meant to be, and we're doing it together. Remember, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Now go find it. Go become it. Go live it. The Stoic path awaits. Your transformation begins now.